Hello, and welcome to Dreamy Tales, a sanctuary where everyone can experience calm and a touch of magic before gently drifting into sleep. Tonight, we invite you on another enchanting journey, a story that helps soothe the mind and nurture a sense of peace. Before we begin, let's take a moment to prepare our bodies and minds for a comforting, restorative rest. Make yourself cozy, and with each slow inhale and long exhale, let the cares of the day gradually slip away. It's not always easy to step back from the day's demands, especially as night falls. Yet, remember, the less we worry about how quickly we'll fall asleep, the simpler it is for our minds to release any remaining tension. Allow the gentle flow of your breathing to wash away lingering concerns, and let the story ahead guide you into a state of deep relaxation. Now, settle in, and let the dreamy atmosphere softly wrap around you. Enjoy this story, and may you drift into a peaceful, restful slumber here on Dreamy Tales.
Consciousness surfaced gently, summoned by the rhythmic drumming of rain against the window pane. A sound so profoundly soothing. Lara lay suspended in that liminal space between sleep and waking, eyes sealed, savoring the sensation. Warm air cocooned her, yet a cool current, a gift from the electric fan oscillating towards the bed, caressed her skin, maintaining a perfect equilibrium. A soft yawn escaped her lips as her eyes fluttered open, adjusting slowly to the tender light of early morning. Dawn was breaking, painting the sky outside the window, where the curtains, left ajar the night before, danced in the fan's manufactured breeze. Relaxing deeper into the mattress, her thoughts drifted back, replaying the journey. By air, she had traveled, wings slicing through clouds towards the Philippines, an archipelago dreaming across the ocean with its 7,000 isles. Yesterday marked her arrival in Manila, the sprawling capital. The transit from airport to sanctuary had been, against expectation, seamless, almost serene. Instructions from Mateo, the arranged driver, had been clear. Proceed to Area 5 beyond the terminal's threshold. Stepping through the sliding glass doors, the city's breath met her, a palpable wave of heat, thick with the unmistakable perfume of faraway holidays, hot and humid. Evening had already fallen. Palm trees, incongruous yet defiant city dwellers, punctuated the urban landscape. A thrill, sharp and bright, pulsed through her. This was it. Adventure, tangible and real. Gratitude swelled within her for the privilege of movement, of witnessing the world's disparate corners. Pausing only a moment to inhale the novel scents, she navigated onward, rolling her suitcase past a tableau of airport life. Tearful reunions, tourists squinting at phone screens seeking elusive signals, taxi and tricycle drivers scanning the crowd for fares. Area 5 emerged easily from the throng. There stood Mateo, holding a card inscribed with her name, his greeting as warm as the Manila night. "Welcome to the Philippines," he'd beamed, relieving her of the suitcase and stowing it in the car's boot before ushering her inside. She chose the passenger seat. As they pulled away from the curb, merging into the airport's outbound flow, conversation bloomed, touching upon the myriad wonders she hoped to encounter across the islands. On the pulsing motorway, tricycles zipped past in abundance, motorcycles crowned with makeshift roofs, sidecars clinging to their flanks. capable of ferrying couples or entire families. Then Mateo pointed towards one of the legendary jeepneys. Relics of war, these repurposed American trucks, transformed into vibrant arteries of public transport, were rolling canvases of Filipino ingenuity. Each driver imbued their vehicle with a unique identity: flamboyant paintwork, diverse themes, distinct names emblazoned proudly. Last night, she'd glimpsed Guadalupe, adorned with Marian iconography, trailing another christened Sonic, its panels alive with characters from the classic video game. Their rear doors remained perpetually open, an invitation for passengers to hop on and off with fluid ease. Exiting the highway, they navigated quieter lanes, entering a residential enclave where life spilled outwards. Plants and trees erupted from every conceivable space. Rows of potted flora flanking blossoming trees, a riot of color that coaxed a smile, a testament to the care lavished upon these neighborhood pockets. The residents, it was clear, actively cultivated beauty and community. Finally, they reached her haven for the next 2 nights, a house on a tranquil street, mirroring the vibrant, well-tended charm of its surroundings. Stepping from the car's chilled interior, the heat enveloped her once more, a close embrace, the humidity feeling almost cleansing against her skin. She surveyed the street. A few doors down, a family sat clustered on their doorstep, drinks in hand, conversation flowing easily. Children's laughter echoed nearby. Mateo knocked. The door opened to reveal an older woman with kind eyes, Tita Lorna. Tita, Mateo had explained, meant auntie in Tagalog, a primary language here, though English flowed just as readily in Manila. Tita Lorna welcomed Alara inside, her manner radiating understanding of a traveler's weariness, and guided her to her room. Inside awaited an enormous bed, a private bathroom, and windows overlooking the street below. Sleep beckoned irresistibly. After a brief tour of the facilities, Tita Lorna bid her good night, leaving her to the quiet embrace of exhaustion. This morning, sprawled across the vast bed in the pearlescent dawn light, Lara couldn't recall the precise moment sleep had claimed her. The fatigue must have been profound. But now, stretching languidly, limbs extending across the cool sheets, she felt utterly refreshed, a current of excitement tingling beneath her skin for the day unfolding. In the bathroom, she encountered the tabo, a traditional implement for washing, comprising a large pail of water and a dipper. Scooping the cool liquid, she splashed it over herself, the shock instantly invigorating, chasing away the last vestiges of sleep and tempering the morning warmth. Dressed, she descended the stairs, drawn by the aroma of breakfast. Tita Lorna had prepared a simple, perfect meal. Pandesal, delectable Filipino bread rolls, soft and slightly sweet, alongside perfectly fried eggs. Tita Lorna demonstrated, tearing open a roll, tucking the egg inside. The taste was pure comfort, delicious beyond expectation. A cup of sweet, fragrant coffee followed, offered with a warm smile. Lara thanked her profusely. A flawless morning. Tita Lorna opened the wide front doors, blurring the line between indoors and out, offering shaded sanctuary with a view of the awakening street. The rain had ceased. The sun now asserted itself, blazing from a sky scrubbed clean of clouds. From her seat, Alara watched the city stir. Tricycles hummed past, their drivers offering casual waves. Women, young and old, diligently swept the pavement before their homes. Street vendors ambled by, their calls melodic and rhythmic, advertising eggs, vegetables, ice cream. One man's cry stood out, "Tahoe." He sold a warm, sweet concoction of silken tofu, syrup, and sago pearls. Tita Lorna encouraged her to try it. For 8 pesos, the vendor ladled the warm, jiggly mixture into a small cup. He watched expectantly as she took a sip. The silken tofu slid down her throat, a unique, comforting sweetness unlike anything she'd tasted. Delicious. She thanked the vendor, whose face creased into a pleased smile. Then she watched him continue his route, his call. "Tahoe, Tahoe." Echoing down the street, a familiar morning sound for the neighborhood. Breakfast concluded, Alara decided a walk was in order, an exploration of Manila on foot. Tita Lorna waved goodbye as she set off, following the general direction of the Tahoe vendor. Along the way, faces turned towards her, smiles offered freely. People paused their morning routines to say hello, inquiring about her origins, generously offering suggestions for her Manila sojourn, the world's oldest Chinatown, a nearby vintage market, numerous stunning churches. A jeepney ride to one of the major museums, they suggested. That sounded like a perfect plan. Kind strangers pointed her towards the correct jeepney stop. Soon, a brightly painted vehicle approached, the museum's name displayed clearly on a card in the windscreen. She extended her hand, a silent signal, and the driver pulled over. Climbing through the open back, she found the other passengers shuffling along the parallel benches that lined the interior, making space. She counted out the fare and passed it to the person beside her. The coins traveled hand to hand, a chain of small transactions, until they reached the driver up front. They plunged into a vibrant chaos of streets, teeming with markets, shops, stalls, and ceaseless human motion. So much to absorb, the journey felt exhilaratingly brief. The jeepney deposited her directly outside the museum. The building loomed immense and white, its grand entrance flanked by imposing columns. Stepping inside was like entering a sanctuary of cool, conditioned air. Various sections beckoned, but today she chose the Museum of Fine Arts. Its scale was breathtaking. Gallery after gallery unfolded, perhaps 30 in all, showcasing works by 19th century Filipino masters alongside the bold creations of contemporary painters, sculptors, and printmakers. Here resided art of profound beauty. She paused before one canvas, utterly captivated, drinking in the colors, deciphering the narrative woven in paint. It was a large-scale piece, dense with detail, chronicling the tapestry of life in the Philippine provinces, families, laborers, animals, daily activities, local sports. The style, she mused, echoed Cubism, fractured yet cohesive. Predominantly blues and greens dominated, punctuated by flashes of vibrant red. It pulsed with life, rich and evocative. The longer she gazed, the more intricate details revealed themselves. Hours could evaporate simply contemplating this single painting. Without conscious awareness, the entire day had dissolved within the museum's expansive halls, absorbing layers of culture and history. It felt, paradoxically, like traversing the entire archipelago without leaving the city limits, though she knew nothing could truly replace the immediacy of experiencing the landscapes firsthand, the symphony of sounds and smells, the irreplaceable connection of meeting the people. She made her way towards the exit, murmuring thanks to the gallery attendants. Emerging back into the daylight, she noticed the air had softened, the fierce heat yielding to a gentler warmth as the sun dipped lower in the sky. The city was beginning to exhale, winding down. A short walk to a coffee shop seemed appealing, a chance to sit and observe the evening traffic flow. A small establishment nearby offered a table outside. Settling in, she was soon presented with a menu listing coffees sourced from different provinces. She chose one from Palawan, her next destination whispering its name. When the waiter returned with the steaming aromatic cup, she inquired about the tricycles. He affirmed she absolutely must experience a ride before leaving Manila, though he cautioned they had range limitations. She might need to be dropped near her destination and walk the final stretch. That sounded perfectly manageable. For now, contentment settled over her. The evening air was balmy, each passing moment offering a fresh vignette of city life. The Palawan coffee was rich and satisfying. The waiter had also brought a small plate of hopia, his favorite snack, he confided. Small, flaky pastries filled with sweet bean paste. They were an exquisite counterpoint to the coffee. She thanked him warmly, shaking his hand before departing. He waved her off with wishes for a wonderful remainder of her trip. Strolling down the street, she soon spotted an approaching tricycle. A wave, and the driver pulled over. He inquired about her destination. She gave Tita Lorna's address. He nodded, confirming he could drop her just around the corner. He offered a choice: the sidecar or the seat behind him on the motorcycle. She opted for the sidecar, a compact, open-sided capsule with a small bench. And then they were off, zipping through the streets, a delightful breeze rushing through the open sidecar. The tricycle proved nimbler than the jeepney, adept at navigating narrow gaps and smaller roads. Gradually, the surroundings began to feel familiar. She recalled passing a distinctive large white house on the corner the previous night, its windows adorned with curved metal railings, plants spilling exuberantly through the bars. There it was now. The driver eased the tricycle to the curb. She climbed out carefully, mindful of the low roof. He checked she knew her way before darting back into the flow of traffic. Birds had begun their vespers as she turned down the street marked by the White House. As she walked, residents seated outside their homes offered greetings. She recognized some faces from the morning, the helpful souls who had offered sightseeing advice and jeepney directions. They inquired about her day. She recounted her enjoyment of the museum, her first taste of hopia. Laughter followed her admission, along with playful instructions to bring some back next time. She laughed too, promising she would. She arrived back at Tita Lorna's house, guided by the irresistible aroma of dinner cooking. The front doors stood open, welcoming her in. A quick freshening up seemed in order before the meal. Tita Lorna called a cheerful hello from the kitchen. Ilara replied she'd be down shortly. Sige. Tita Lorna responded, Go ahead, or sure? Standing before the basin, she turned the tap, letting cool water run over her hands. Lathering the soap between her palms, she worked up a froth, rinsing thoroughly before leaning over to splash her face. The cool water was an instant revival, a pleasant shock against her skin. Reaching for a soft towel hanging nearby, she gently patted her face dry. Much better. Descending the stairs once more, drawn by the savory promise of dinner, she found the table beautifully laid. A large bowl brimming with vegetables simmered in a rich tomatoey sauce immediately caught her eye. Pinakbet, a beloved dish served alongside fluffy white rice. Tita Lorna emerged from the kitchen bearing a bowl of rice just as Ilara sat down. She accepted a generous serving onto her plate with thanks, then spooned the vibrant pinakbet over it, the sauce mingling with the grains. Her mouth watered in anticipation. Politely, she waited for Tita Lorna to serve herself before taking the first bite, wanting to share the experience. Loading her spoon with rice, sauce, and tender vegetables, she finally tasted it. Perfection. The vegetables were soft, yet retained their integrity, their distinct textures complementing the light, fluffy rice. She recounted her day to Tita Lorna, describing the captivating painting in the art gallery. As she detailed its style and subject matter, Tita Lorna nodded knowingly. Ah, Vicente Manansala, she said. My favorite painter. When asked her impression of Manila, Ilara replied honestly, It's one of the most uniquely wonderful places I've ever been. Tita Lorna beamed, clearly pleased. Her country's welcome was important to her. She shared that Manila had always been her home, though she'd spent time in the province of Aurora, where family resided. She spoke of her 2 children, also Manila residents, and her 3 beloved grandchildren. Her husband, she explained, had spent his entire career as a captain on a cargo ship. Rising, she retrieved a photograph of him in uniform, a man with a kind face, saluting crisply for the camera. Tita Lorna spoke of him with deep affection. Pride resonated in her voice. Before retirement, she recounted, he would be away for 9 months at a stretch. The long separations were difficult initially, but they adapted. His homecomings were filled with tales of distant ports, journeys across the globe, always accompanied by gifts for her and the children. Currently, he was visiting friends in Aurora. Otherwise, he would have been here. It's a shame you didn't meet him this time, Tita Lorna lamented softly. He is a lot of fun. Next time, you must visit us both. Have dinner together. Smiling, Ilara promised she would. A profound sense of safety and ease enveloped her in Tita Lorna's presence. It felt as though she'd known this warm, nurturing woman far longer than a single day. Tita Lorna then shared photos of her children and grandchildren, proudly recounting their accomplishments. She was, Ilara thought, a truly wonderful grandmother. Your family is lucky to have you, Ilara told her sincerely. Soon, however, her eyelids grew heavy. Tita Lorna gently urged her towards bed. Rest was essential before tomorrow's long journey to Palawan, a large island province famed for its breathtaking natural beauty, a place Ilara eagerly anticipated. Upstairs, she opened her room door. Switching on the fan, she watched the breeze send ripples across the bedsheets. Slipping beneath the cool cotton, her head sank into the pillow. She closed her eyes, listening to the fan's rhythmic sigh as it swept from side to side. The room temperature was ideal. Images of Palawan, gleaned from brochures and online searches, floated through her mind. Turquoise waters lapping at pristine white sands, fringed by swaying palm trees. These visions mingled with the vibrant memories of her perfect Manila day. The easy camaraderie with locals, the immersion in art and culture, the unique journeys by jeepney and tricycle, the discovery of delicious, unfamiliar foods. As sleep began to claim her, thoughts of sparkling oceans and boundless blue skies filled her consciousness. It was as if she were already there, drifting peacefully into a deep well of dreams. Warm sunshine. Sunlight, thick as honey, draped the Alban hills where the Emperor Aelius sought refuge. It was the heart of his reign, early in the second sweep of centuries since the Christ, and his Tiber estate, freshly risen from the earth, offered solace. 20 miles dissolved the granite weight of Rome. Here, under the vast Italian sky, was another existence entirely. This afternoon, late spring breathed warmth across the land. Aelius wandered the villa's arteries, its gardens. A man poised at the meridian of life, dark curls framing a face distinguished by a meticulously kept beard. He walked not as Caesar, but as himself. Gone were the stiff brocades, the imposing toga. Simple, light fabric clothed him, his feet finding familiar ease in aged sandals. No audiences stained the hours ahead, no looming statecraft. He was adrift, intentionally so, on a current of well-earned leisure, having navigated the turbulent waters of a week in the capital. Beyond the endless audiences, the city had demanded his eye for architecture, overseeing the rebirth of the Pantheon, that colossal homage to all gods. Aelius found satisfaction in such imperial tasks, the shaping of stone and space resonating within him, yet the city's relentless pulse soon frayed his nerves. Escape beckoned. Tibur, a mere couple of hours by horseback, became his frequent haven, a weekend stretching often into a week, sometimes 2, sometimes blurring into 3. He was just now reacclimating to the countryside's gentle cadence. Arriving that morning, a satisfying midday meal consumed, he'd commenced his customary pilgrimage through the grounds. Now, his path led through a cultivated elegance bordering the estate's wilder edges, his shadow trailed by the silent padding of Vesta, his devoted black hound. This particular vista held Aelius's affection, a perfect marriage of human artistry and nature's untamed grace. Marble figures, frozen in exquisite motion, punctuated the walkways alongside whispering fountains. Nearby, a wall surrendered to the fragrant embrace of wisteria, its violet blooms a living tapestry against the brick. Further off, a long pool lay like a sheet of hammered silver, catching the brilliance of the day. Silence reigned, save for the soft crunch of Alias's sandals on the path, Vesta's near-silent tread, and the liquid murmur of water. He paused, head tilted, listening intently. Birdsong, previously unheard, now threaded the quiet air. Close by, sparrows dipped and chattered at the fountain's lip, their ablutions brief and bustling. From deeper within the estate's green embrace, hidden melodies drifted, perhaps from the cypress spires or the broad, sheltering canopies of umbrella pines encircling his domain. Alias released a slow breath, a sigh laden with profound contentment. To be back, here, where the knots of duty and worry loosened, where the city's grime felt washed away. Each return shed years, lifted burdens. Rome's ceaseless energy, its demanding throngs, he could endure only for so long. Tibur, by contrast, felt paradisiacal, a rural idyll where the air itself seemed cooler, purer. He inhaled deeply, the clean scent filling his lungs, a smile touching his lips. Fortunate, yes, to possess not merely a house, but this sanctuary, this personal realm accessible at will. The villa was Alias's soul, rendered in travertine and marble, a dream he had personally orchestrated. He'd craved a country retreat, proximate to the capital, yet distinct. Existing properties fell short. His vision demanded something grander, more intimately his own. To his architects, he'd declared his intent to craft an ideal city in miniature. And vast it was. Over 30 structures sprawled across extensive gardens, dwarfing Pompeii itself. Pools shimmered, fountains sang, thermal baths steamed. Libraries stood beside temples, grand courtyards opened onto airy pavilions, all complementing the residential heart. An artificial island even cradled a private domicile. Cost was no object. Only the finest materials sufficed. Rare marble floors inlaid with glass and ivory in dizzying geometries, walls sheathed in polished stone or vibrant frescoes. Vivid mosaics unfurled across surfaces, depicting mythic beasts, soaring birds, scenes torn from legend. While echoing the opulence expected of imperial residences, his Palatine Hill dwelling in Rome was no less lavish. This villa pulsed with Alias's singular spirit. He hadn't merely commissioned, he had conceived, guiding the design, selecting the very stone and pigment. His ambition transcended mere luxury. He sought to build a place that mirrored his life, his passions, his journeys. Years had been spent traversing the immense tapestry of the empire, lands later known as Britain, Greece, Turkey, Persia, the sun-scorched territories of North Africa. Though duty often dictated the itinerary, Alias harbored a wanderer's heart. Memories clung to him, the emerald fields of the north, the stark beauty of southern deserts. Consequently, his villa became a confluence of styles. The underlying structure spoke of classic Roman order, yet specific enclaves whispered of distant shores. He was walking now through such a fusion. The path unfurled towards an elongated, man-made pool, flanked by stone columns and graceful arches. Majestic sculptures lined its edge. Roman deities in colorful marble stood sentinel beside a procession of Greek caryatids, stone maidens whose draped forms bore the weight of the entablature above. Approaching the water, Aelius felt a familiar surge of satisfaction. The vista unfolded exactly as envisioned, a harmonious blend of Hellenic grace, Roman strength, and Egyptian mystique, its symmetry profoundly pleasing. This pool evoked a tributary of the Nile. At its furthest reach nestled a grotto, sculpted like a colossal seashell, part ornament, part shrine to Serapis, the Egyptian lord of the underworld. Within this cool recess, the god reclined in marble, his hair wild, his brow bearing the strange vase-like crown. His expression was placid, almost detached, as he surveyed the tranquil, sea-green mirror of the water before him, fountains playing around his elaborate plinth. On balmy summer evenings, this poolside transformed into a stage for extravagant banquets. Aelius knew the spell it cast on guests. They invariably praised its aesthetic perfection, the flawless symmetry. It possessed a dreamlike quality, yet for Aelius its beauty resonated deeper, intertwined with symbolism and memory. It was a deliberate echo of places seen during his long sojourns through North Africa and Greece. Athens, particularly, had captivated him. Its architectural splendor, its vibrant culture. He cherished recollections of exploring its streets, participating in ancient rituals. These memories were further gilded by the presence of Lysander, his beloved companion. Their paths had converged during Aelius's eastern travels in Bithynia. Since then, they had been near constants in each other's orbits, traversing the empire side by side. Standing near the villa's pool invariably transported Aelius back to those luminous days in faraway lands. Lysander near, time dissolved by the water's edge as happy recollections surfaced, warm and insistent. Reaching the grotto end, Aelius stood motionless, gazing into the pool's depths. Sunlight fractured on the surface, reflections of statues wavering like ghosts. The tide of memory slowly receded, nostalgia yielding to a quieter feeling, contentment with the present moment. Those days abroad were golden, irreplaceable. Yet this too was a time of peace, of settling into himself. Lifting his gaze, he absorbed the entire composition, the long stretch of water, the colonnades, the statues, the arches. Careful design had birthed a reality more magical than the dream. Soon the air would soften enough for evening feasts once more. Tables would circle the pool, guests reclining near the water's edge, dining beneath a silvered moon. Closing his eyes, Aelius could almost conjure the scene, music and laughter weaving through the gentle gurgle of fountains. He anticipated these languid summer nights, shared with Lysander and his innermost circle. Opening his eyes, he found Vesta seated patiently beside him, tail giving a slight thump. Time to move on? He knew the old hound found joy in motion. Too aged for the hunt now, she still relished exploring the estate's expanse, investigating every nook of the gardens. As Alias turned from the pool, Vesta trotted ahead, nose glued to the earth, deciphering the world through scent. He watched, amused, as she became utterly absorbed by mundane patches of grass, sniffing intently as if uncovering profound secrets. It struck him as poignant, her obliviousness to the curated splendor surrounding them. The sculptural marvels, the precious stone beneath her paws, none registered. Only her master's presence and the olfactory tapestry of the ground held meaning. She could be in any garden, anywhere, and find her happiness. This simplicity was part of why Alias cherished dogs, their unwavering loyalty, their unconditional affection, but also their reminder to find pleasure in the ordinary. The villa's artifice was magnificent, but so too was this simple expanse of lawn. Alias drew another deep breath, savoring the rich perfume of newly cut grass. His senses were dull compared to Vesta's, yet this fragrance was enough. It spoke of spring, yet simultaneously whispered promises of the summer poised to unfold. These transitional moments held a unique beauty, spring yielding to summer, summer bleeding into autumn. Reflecting thus, inhaling the garden's breath, a sweet nostalgia washed over him again, untethered to specific memories this time, just a general feeling of contentment tinged with a bittersweet awareness. Perhaps buried deep, it was the consciousness of time's relentless passage, seemingly accelerating with age. It felt like only yesterday he'd noted this same seasonal shift, yet a full year had spun past. Next spring, the same surprise would likely greet him. He recalled Virgil's famous lament, "Fugit irreparabile tempus." It escapes irretrievable time. Now a common phrase, tempus fugit. Time flies. When he first encountered the words as a student, poring over literature, they hadn't struck him forcefully. Youthful arrogance might even have disputed them. Adolescence stretched before him then, an endless expanse. But the poet knew. Time had indeed flown. Ascending to the emperorship at 40 marked a watershed. The years since seemed to blur even faster. A positive sign, perhaps, Alias mused. Evidence of a life lived richly, densely packed with experience. And the awareness itself served as a valuable reminder. Slow down, savor moments like this. Continuing along the path, Alias found his pace slackening. He focused on each footfall, each sensation, the grassy scent, the gentle warmth of the sun on his neck. Vesta glanced back, a questioning look in her intelligent eyes, tail wagging slightly. Impatient? Likely. Wondering at her master's sudden sluggishness. Alias offered an affectionate pat, then quickened his step slightly, heading towards the residential core. Emperor and Hound traversed past a grand complex of thermal baths, crossed smaller gardens, navigated intimate courtyards. Finally, they arrived at a colonnaded porch guarding their destination, Alias's private island. This was the site of a substantial house, a villa within a villa boasting over 30 rooms, bedrooms, library, study, even a miniature bath complex. The luxurious structure consumed the entirety of its man-made aisle, encircled by a shallow moat. Access was via a retractable wooden drawbridge. Though usually left down, Alias cherished the capability of raising it, sealing himself off. Here, he could study, reflect, or sleep utterly undisturbed. The island retreat was a fantasy born in childhood. Squabbles with his sister, the drudgery of lessons, how he'd yearned for an escape hatch. Young Alias daydreamed of a personal sanctuary, not just a room, but an island fortress. Visitors by invitation only, sometimes none at all. His own small kingdom for peace and privacy. In those boyish visions, it was a rugged rock lashed by a blue ocean. The reality differed, yet gazing up at the splendid house, its white marble luminous in the sun, Alias felt a profound sense of fulfillment. His childhood self could never have conceived of manifesting such a dream, let alone designing it. He stepped onto the wooden planks, Vesta close behind. Crossing the bridge, his gaze dropped to the moat. A flash of silver, a fish darting beneath the surface. This moat was one of many fish ponds dotting the estate. Alias found their silent, gliding movements soothing, often pausing to watch them navigate the reeds. Perhaps his next project, an indoor pool, an aquarium filled with vibrant, exotic fish. Maybe space could be found in a bedchamber. He'd consult the architects soon. A perpetual dreamer, a constant planner. Alias always nurtured nascent ideas. Passing from the bridge, he entered the villa's grand entrance hall. Elaborate marble friezes depicting ships and marine life adorned the walls. Intricate mosaics carpeted the floor. The only sounds were their footsteps echoing in the sudden coolness. No one else was present. While other buildings hummed with the activity of servants or guests, the island house remained inviolate unless the emperor granted entry. His public life demanded constant interaction. The quietude here was a welcome balm. For now, the silent companionship of his dog sufficed. Vesta padded softly ahead, turning towards the study as if privy to his unspoken intention. She often anticipated his movements before he fully decided them himself. Alias followed her into the large, airy chamber overlooking the moat. This was his sanctum for personal pursuits, divorced from imperial burdens, reading, composing poetry, delving into philosophy, sketching architectural concepts, or sometimes simply sitting, gazing through the window, lost in reminiscence or reverie. He entered meaning to study, perhaps to draft ideas for the fish pond, but found himself instead sinking onto the couch by the window, his thoughts drifting. Inevitably, they circled back to past journeys. He recalled touring southern Greece with Lysander, overseeing the restoration of ancient temples. Closing his eyes, the images remained sharp, vivid. He hoped to return, or perhaps venture somewhere entirely new, towards the empire's furthest horizons. This wanderlust had been a lifelong companion, but age brought perspective, the ability to gently reel himself back to the present. Future travels beckoned, but patience had grown alongside desire. For now, contentment resided right here. Opening his eyes, he saw Vesta had already claimed her corner. She was curled upon her preferred spot, a soft, threadbare piece of carpet, perhaps the sole item in the entire villa showing its age. Alias resisted replacing it. Vesta always made straight for that rug, settling into its center to sleep away the afternoon. Watching her doze peacefully, a sympathetic drowsiness crept over Alias. The week's demands, the pleasant fatigue from his garden walk, the room's cool tranquility, all conspired. Nothing pressed upon him. Why not indulge in a nap? Another simple luxury, perhaps, he thought with an inward smile. Another marker of advancing years. Rearranging the cushions, Alias lay back, closing his eyes. He drew a slow, deep breath, feeling his body and mind surrender to stillness. The room was cool, profoundly silent. Only the faintest sound reached him. Vesta's quiet, rhythmic snoring, his own steady respiration settling into a slow, comfortable cadence, guiding him towards oblivion. Thoughts of his magnificent villa, his far-flung travels, began to blur, fading into the quiet background. The Emperor was drifting into another peaceful, private world, the undiscovered country of sleep.